Page 3. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp. An illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 15. The Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya triple gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Vulture's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also, at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25. Sangye Shintu Miteoa Yitrokunanda Shingla Chopasho Jetsunamadam Pakenam Kichakukala Kyense Chenchene Jitatsampe Duchesenma Lasapye Choki Chapababtu Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kandiryachayami. Page 27. Chudan Sogi Chonam La Jengshu Badu Dagni Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chujin Jibe Sona Lolo Benje Danje Dobara Sho Sanje Chudan Sogi Chona Chanjo Bada Dane Jazanje Dagi Chujin Jibe Sonam Je Dola Benje Sanje Dobara Sanje Chudan Sogi Chona Chanjo Bada Dane Dagi Chujin Jibe Sonam Sanje Dobara Sho Kanga Tse Nyeswe Dawa Nje Pangwa Kodan de la ja ne la, do ni ni je san de je be la, chi je si de kan je den de ka. Chana be ma de de ja san la, so de so shi de den de sho, ba de za be la ma ra ma je, da ki yin ga ra be be de je. Ga je je be ko ne je san de ko san de je ngo de de de, chen je sin de ra ma je ba na ni. Ya wa nya ba me wa ya, wo ne be ko ra sho. 아, 다 굴론 곰데스 시켰나 로 아니 다 굴론데 아니 다 지리네 시제 나라도라다 삼나 요거다나다 니마다고 메즈 사버레 아니 디레네 제야 직선바 상보직 제 나라단다 데 로르기고 롭정 치야 돼 지금 밀레 편도 치야 밀레 편도야 지금 치되네 니기 요섬 대치등에 아니 삼바상부치 밀레 펜도야 지디 삼시 어디 굴론데 시제 쇼스라
So today is, we should generate a positive motivation. If we think about it, actually every day is like a special day and we should generate a positive motivation. But for today, you should think, well, today I'm listening to this teaching on awareness and noise. So this is for the benefit of others. You should have this good-hearted motivation in order to benefit others. So this should be the reason why you're listening to this talk.
다 가고 검로 다 드리안 로리기 돌아 나도 롭존 지기 총어디야 그 수수 야구인 된 가고
So now rejoice, you have this wonderful opportunity to hear these teachings on this incredible text. So feel really joyful about that.
아야 다 다른데 디 로리 디 진짜 낭베 응원에 베직 응원에 레와 다 가와이나 저시고요다 가와이나 지 낭베게 추역한데 지게 셰비나 심단 저요시 게지 셰연디 장알라다 셈지코디 개좀부 쇼직 차대요 레스로
So this mind and awareness and knowledge, is really like the essence of the basis for the basic, maybe the basis for the understanding of the Dharma. And why is that, or the Buddha Dharma? Well, because the key thing of all the Dharma is connected with the mind. We always say how the mind is the main thing. So, of course, then it's very useful to understand how the mind works and how it functions.
다 게네단다 당은조 단당 무슨 체마시고요. 무슨 체마라디 데레다. 무슨 단다 배낭은조 상마 쪽지디 간라단다 퍼바디 요 하고도. 봐. 디밀라 게제 되고면도 줌진 거고면도 카드 퍼바 여바디 무슨 미기 통고도 하대. 엄보 무슨 체매 신경어디. 봐. 무슨 체마스나 데레다.
Okay. So when we talk about a direct prime cognizer, then it's something like an eye consciousness or just seeing this cup. Like if we see this cup, we just know the cup's there on the table. We don't have to have anybody explain it to us or go and research it. We just know it's there because why? We see it directly with our eyes. So this, example of the eye consciousness perceiving cup is what we'd say is a direct prime cognizer.
다 드린 저 잉어당 내종 무슨 셰르와 다 기신 라릭당 엄봉 무슨 셰사비시 다 잉어라 되어 되는 신쇼 당 저 이래요 단당 저 미시기 퍼벙어스 배 통번한신 이기야 되게 통드야기 이지 참마줄 될라 이중 무슨 참아라고 다
Okay, so now last time we talked about a self-knowing prime cognizer and a sense direct prime cognizer. So this time we're talking about a mental direct prime cognizer and a yogic direct prime cognizer. So first of all, looking at the mental direct prime cognizer, just as the eye consciousness perceives physical, like color and shape, directly, so the mind perceives objects directly, and this is what we call a mental direct prime cognizer.
다 단다 배는 말한저 이나와 만족이 이디게 퍼버딘데 통도고요 말이야. 먼저 퍼버디 통으로 와. 근데 믹스 좀 보이나? 먼저 셈나라 퍼버 샤야 되거든. 대 제시 잘다. 나 대단냠데 데 포바 나니 그 무슨 되게 상마 잉어데 이 무슨 되다 나라만 거 차르고 이 무슨 데 원신 담바들 니용고 니 제시직다 니 나라만 거 신고 나라만 거데 무슨 그 차직 나라만 거 차 아니야 그 하고 니 동이 그 차데 아니 제시 차로 제시 데라 무슨 지 탕베 제시로
건데 디 제시디 컨디션
제시데 번나 단당한 저기 포버통으로 계진이어들랑 저 믹좀디 셈나를 지gle 용거도 다디 무슨지 탕베 제시라고 무슨지 탕하는 거저 템바지 두고도
right
똑바지 두고도 디디 니 용거다 지난다 망보 용거다 될 망보 용
디 템바디 제시를
제시를 간저 포버 하고 니지도 니와 셈나를 하고 니지도 디 제시 하고 그 똑바로 봐
nonsense 이기 nonsense 말을
디 이중 무슨 참 말해
okay so when we our mind can't see the cup directly, right? But obviously we see it with our eye consciousness. But then if we were to close our eyes, then the cup would appear to our mind, right? There'd be an appearance of a cup in mind. But this, di nangwa di trempa di chishire, right?
참 말 똑바 똥이디 똑이디 템바디 델니용 참마 로니지고레스 하고 니지로 먼저 하고다 미지게 당에 저저거는 포워 통성에 라나 여러 저저거는 포워 여러 하고다 먼저 디 제시레
디 제시
다디 디게지니와들라 야 직직직 포워 무슨데 나네 망부지 나라망에 버차도고로 디 로니지고 로니 참만 샤바니
so the okay, so in the second moment of the eye consciousness perceiving the cup, there's the awareness of that cup. Like, you know, if we say, oh, the cup's there, you'd say, yes, the cup's on the table. So this awareness of that cup, that's not a prime cognizer. That's said to be a subsequent cognizer. And also, at the same time, this appearance without apprehending is also produced. So there's two other minds that come subsequent to the direct prime cognizer.
디 인게다 디 인게를 쳐면요. 다베나 만조라 간조 이중 무슨 나오다. 이중 무슨 간조 이중 무슨데 만차 나라망요. 간조 이중 무슨 만차 나라망요. 가르스나 유디 난거래 또 두고요 말. 또 두고 다 이중 무슨데 술래 열었으나 박발이요. 박발게 줄라 아니 미다본 무슨데 이중 무슨도가 미다고 동반인 무슨데 왜 이중 무슨도가 다 속도도 시 먹어라 레라버고 이중 무슨데다 나 술래 열라나 박배 줄래 열다 단단 안 졸래 열말디 이중 무슨 한저 마자 나라망에바 제시 차로다 나라망에바도 제시
all right so for most of us, we don't actually, the majority of the time, we don't actually have this mental direct prime cognizer, right? We have, a lot of the time, mostly what we have is the subsequent cognizer or this appearance without apprehension. But for Arya beings, these beings who've realized emptiness, they have these direct mental prime cognizers, right?
알아서 하고 그래. 포바디 두식 따라 통다 믹죽 좀다. 야 말해. 낙템이 돼.
So yeah, like we can see the cup, but then if we close our eyes and try to call it, it doesn't actually appear, right?
This every 이중 무슨 매워 this every.
Yeah, so it shows we don't have this direct mental prime cognizer.
다디 당보 먼저 줄래야 돼. 곰자. 아니 신의 탐나. 아니 신의기 제일 다 용거요.
So once you meditate and develop, once you develop calm abiding, then after developing calm abiding, then these start to come.
이러와 먼저 디다 신의 탑세회 제일 아니 수수분한 게 제 탐모도 무슨도 통고요. 아니 수수 이게 무슨 통고요. 땅은 통고요.
So, once you develop this calm abiding, then you can start to directly see things with your mental perception, such as the the subtle substances of the body, the dultrarab.
삼통으로.
Yeah, so like the subtle particles and so forth, and these are mental direct prime cognizers.
아니 신기 셈시야. 미신기 미신다가 삼로신. 미 도스 좀 검잡되나. 미피적 셈 신기였다로.
And also the ability to perceive others' minds directly, then that, you can do that through the power of meditation.
Yeah.
So how does the mental direct cognizer, how does it apprehend particles when they are formed? Are they formed?
So how does the mental direct prime cognizer apprehend particles when they're formed? So yigi nansung the dultrara kandi to kandi disugre.
예, 제대로 저 말에 배나 내 믹시디기 포보 통도 포보도 소르 내 믹시 셔로 디나시 이징우선 디나시 통고라.
Yeah, but like the eye consciousness can perceive the cup, right? And that's consciousness. So,
컵 디스투르와 컵 소르와.
Yeah, and the cup's form.
이 디나시 이징우선 되게 쳐 미다고 참어 두 참어
Yeah, so there likewise the mental direct prime cognizer can see subtle particles and impermanence and things like that.
레마서. 네, 데로 배나 먼저 셈으로 먼저 셈도 스탐단데 배나 계속 그 당김에 적지당 굽자당으로 레구나 그런 레구나 적지도 굽자 당김이 통대라. 단다 셈날 되는 배 적지 굽자 요 땡도 신기도. 이네 적지 굽자 소로 이네데 이 신기요로 이 신기요로 독배 셈으로 이 독배 셈으로. 다디 야르게도 간zam질라.
Alright.
디 먼저 디 미그 통한 신 심게 단다란 저런 거면 적지요 어디 탁하도 통도야 되는데 용고요. 다디 곰잠미시야 말. 지내질라. 다디 곰잠미시야 말데.
Right. So ordinarily we, like, if you think about your house or your office or something, you know the furnitures and what furniture. Yeah. So you can understand that through a mentally through conceptualization at this point, right? But you can sort of know what's in there, and that's a mental perception. Now, as you meditate up and up and up and up and develop calm abiding and so forth, then you can start to see directly the form.
대바룰라 직 나공도 직도와 집된데 매바 카도 미기 숙토나시 이기 통도 거라.
Right. So, like now there's this kind of black obscuration, obscuring, but when that clears away, then your mind can directly perceive the form.
You come here.
Yeah. The mental direct prime cognizer. Without, we don't have to come playing, of course. But the first moment will be direct, but we can't ascertain that because it's, not saying that. But rather than, like it was said that it isn't working, but actually, surely it is happening, but we're just not ascertaining it.
What's happening?
Yeah, see what I'm saying? The mental direct prime cognizer ascertains directly in the first moment, because that's what its definition is, new.
Yeah.
And then, but we only ascertain the subsequent cognizer aspect of it, isn't it?
I mean, a mental direct prime cognizer apprehending what?
Anything, book, anything, or itself.
So you're saying, does it have a first moment?
It definitely is a first moment.
Yeah, so what's the question?
Well, it was said that this isn't happening, that it's not operating because we don't have calm abiding. But what I'm saying is, it is operating. It's just that we don't catch it.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So you're saying that the question is, so you're saying like this, it perceives the impermanence and perceives all that, but we're just not aware of it, like that?
The first moment, we just see the subsequent.
Okay. So we do. The question is, surely we must have these direct mental prime cognizers. We're just not aware of the first. We're not aware of them or the first moment.
The first moment.
We're not aware of the first moment. Okay, but surely we must have them. So the 그런 something 신의 제라단 이기 논선 요래. So 기부 이기 논선 여기 연설에 이는 난저 학고기 말해라. 디 개칙 탐보 학고기 말해. 이는 이디 난좀 요래.
이 중무슨 요래. 이 중무슨 참아요 말해라.
Okay. So we have a direct mental cognizer, but not a prime cognizer. So did Timothy
참아 말고 나라만 이 중무슨
because it's appearance without apprehending.
그 유디 나와는 유튜브가 말 뒤주통단이라.
Yeah. So it's appearing, but we can't engage with it. So nang yura jugu yumare.
주기는 데마 딜라고 말죠. 딜라고 말. 진투고 말. 또 두고 말라.
We can't apprehend it. It appears, but we can't apprehend it, basically. So it's not a mental direct prime cognizer because it's an appearance without apprehension.
단다
So 소소키부디.
소소키부 이중무슨 표정 요 말을 참마대 나나망가 차도.
So for ordinary beings, most likely you could say that they don't have this mental direct.
신의 톱 사회 제라야 이제 두트데 요러도야 요러바다 미시 신의 마다베스 제올라 요 말다 그지.
So sorry. So ordinary beings who have not attained calm abiding or concentration states, for them you could say that probably they don't have direct mental prime cognizers because it's all appearance without apprehension.
다 됐어요 그러방 그런서 삼로 미신다 삼로 수수 삼단다 하고 그래 레로 시오레데 미기 통해야 된다는 미기 좀다 낙템에 되어요 말이야.
And we can see it. Like if we see something and then we close our eyes, it's just black. We can't see that thing anymore, right?
먼저 단다 먼저 된다 레 이중 무슨 파샤로 엉봉 무슨 계직 당보대 단다 먼저 하고 말이야. 먼저 단다 이 엉보 네 숙통고도 써야 돼. 계직 이었음 벌 로사. 계직 당보대 베디 드즈 지나 지그로라고 계직 당보디 먼저 참마레세 돼야지 당보 무슨 계직 당보디 먼저 줄을 열들래 먼저 신토고야 말다.
Yeah, but even like if we talk about same with our eye consciousness, let alone our mind consciousness. Although we did sema yura, hakogi mara.
자오 말한다.
Yeah, we have this direct. We do have a sense direct prime cognizer, but we're not aware of that, right? Like by the time we were aware of the cup, like it's many moments have passed.
먼저에 무슨 엄봉 무슨 계징이 왔당 아니 네 포버진배 무슨 계징이 왔당 포버진배 템바 계직 당부님도 용거 다디 똑바르했어 저는 삼라 여보 다는
남도 용이래
당보 데르다지 포버진배 무슨 계징이 와요라
계징이 발라서 건다
포버진배 계징이 왔당 포버 쪽에 제시 계직 당보디 똑똑 님도 용거.
Okay, so the second moment of a sense consciousness perceiving a cup or an object, a sense consciousness perceiving a cup, and that's the second moment of that, and the first moment of the subsequent subsequent cognizer conceptually recollecting cup. The 지식이
계직 당보디.
지식이 맹카르래? 지식카르? 칸딜랍?
들어와다 포버 템베 지식.
Yeah. So recollecting the cup. So the subsequent cognizer recollecting the cup and the first moment I'm not saying the first moment because I don't know, but that and the second moment of the cup. Eye consciousness perceiving the cup come together. Okay. Okay, I'll break it down. You have the first moment of the eye consciousness perceiving cup, right? And then the second moment of the eye consciousness perceiving cup and the subsequent cognizer conceptually recollecting the cup, they come together. The second moment and the subsequent cognizer arise together.
The subsequent cognizer isn't necessarily conceptual. The subsequent cognizer is also a valid awareness, even though it's not a first moment. It can be direct, even though it's not a first moment. It can be both. So you can have a conceptual and a non-conceptual.
Okay, is that a question? Okay.
Yeah, well, if you say conceptual, I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, in this case, it's conceptual. He said the word tokpa in there, but I'll clarify.
Okay.
So can you have both conceptual and non-conceptual subsequent cognizers? Is that?
There are, I'm just saying that you can, but it's just which one you're explaining about.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought we were on direct valid prime cognizer.
Right. Oh, well, okay. So, the cheshi dira, the tokpa cheshi, tan tokmegi cheshi, right? Nika yo. So, the capsula, the tremba the tokpa cheshi re or tokmeg cheshi?
왜지 문제 템바 떡버지시 인지 떡버지시 인지
Yeah.
고 먼저 더 네, 떡버지시 인지
No, that probably that mind.
템바이나 떡바이 메차.
Yeah. So that because it's a recollection, then it's necessarily conceptual. So you can have non-conceptual subsequent cognizers, obviously, but in this case, the subsequent cognizer conceptually recollecting the cup is conceptual.
제가 단다 힌두기 줍다 망버지기 옹보디 떡버리스 그러디. 근데 냠뇽던데 시고라. 그 삼라에 왔다나 먼저 뒤도야 돼 지금 심나 텐데 요소르시 여러 디 제가 그 무슨 계진이었다 제시 계지 당무님도 영어 인자 아니 그 원시 떡버리스. 가지 디 힌두 망버지 원시 떡버 켈렌식.
So many of the Hindu traditions believe that this sense perceiver is conceptual because they go from their experience, which that and the recollection, the conceptual recollection of the object arise together. So the second moment and the conceptual recollection of the object arise together. So therefore, because of that, they feel that this sense perception is actually conceptual. So some of the Hindu traditions believe that. Yeah, because they're talking basically from their experience. Konzo shine?
다디 단당에 이중웃음 깨져 쳐단 데와 제가 이중웃음 라야디 다디리 다 생이디 마직 도션도 랑 투모모에 따긴 이완라 되네 네 중에 똑바도 테스트도 밀리베릭 바스 랍송아 다 이완라야디 이란레와 이완라야디 단데 미고 옹보디 수긴바 이지 옹보디 쉐버라레 쉐바 다 쉐버나네 쉐버 믹스해지 쉐버 믹스해 가래라나 유당 쉐바니 카둑 통도야 누버 유닉 쉐바지라 다 이완 랍나 다 베진 딱다지 그래 유당 쉐바 단당한저 미게 숙통하나시 이게 통한도 미저와 디 통도 소니게 쉐바저와 딜레 이완 랍나 다 코든 딱다리가
So this same yirang this shepherd.
쉐바 이
So going through the definition, a new incremental knower free from conceptuality which arises in dependence upon a mental sense power that is its uncommon empowering condition. So this mental sense power is in itself mind, right? So just as we have a physical sense power that allows the eye consciousness to perceive the cup, for those beings who can perceive the cup directly with their mind, they also need this power, right? But in this case, it's a mental sense power and it's also a mind.
그리고 되어서 두년 들어가다 유당 이중웃음다 군이 가도 나와디 파샤진 어저지 미좀도 나공로시 가마도니지도 디파 세드니 디파 디메니기 and 카둑통도 얘기는 왜 얘기 이지라 이지 옹보스 랍다디 고된디 따다치고.
Right. So you need to understand it in the sense that for us we have this black, basically it's black when we close our eyes, but for beings who have certain concentrations, they don't have that. They are actually able to see, that obscuration's not there, but you still need something to connect or act as like a bridge between connecting this consciousness to the mental consciousness to the cup, and that's this mental sense power.
One Tibetan, one Lama, he Blan. 롱아차 롱아로 믹 통고 말해
La.
믹 통고 믹 매워지 믹 샤라차 블랑 블랑차
Right.
이나 그 베젤로 두고
Right.
너
So
딜다
there was one Tibetan meditator who, although he was blind, like his eyes just didn't function, he was still able to read the text.
근데 이중은 좀 통과했다 왜?
He could see directly with his mind.
Do you have a question? Maybe you see. 근데 여러 니 와라 이 여러.
Do they say that a Buddha's senses can do everything? Like Buddha's ears can read and taste and all that, and Buddha's eyes
가르쳐.
like everything? Like each sense can do everything?
So can each of the Buddha's senses do everything? Like can the ears read and the eyes taste and so forth? So 상이는 드니디
산책 쉬워.
상이 강사 you 드니디 디 sheba tamche di samak tegire 그래서 페나디 믹셰디 칼라 trogire로
하고 좋아요 신기를.
신기래
신기를.
애니디 나기 셰바디 페절로 습기래.
그래.
Yeah.
산책 남시 제대로 찾아 하고 그래. 누가요 신기를.
Yeah. So it's like that. The Buddhas can know the taste with their eye consciousness. They can read with all of the Buddha's minds can do everything, right?
가르쳐나 뜻다다래도 가르쳐나 산재에 다 나도 야야야 등아는 저샤나 심 참모셔로 심 참모디 야 산재 차버와 이 산재 그 용스 도고다 심 참모디 그 랑신이 심다 롱 참모디 그 랑신이와 제자다 그 간접라 산재에 sim can't use it la sanje guyong gore sa direta.
So because it's quite different, like with the Buddhas, of course they're dealing with this very, very subtle, most subtle mind, right? And the physical form, the longchugiko or cool.
얼마나 이제 sim 참모로. 저디 내가 말랍제던데 라비용 것도. sim 참모디 이 산재 차로. 차외인자 산재 sim 참모 can't use it la 산재 sim 참모 단 좀버죠 롱디요 롱디. 롱디 여배 인자네 심 카이스를 꾸용 거래. 산재 심 카이스 심 카르ጆ를 꾸이 찹세거든. 여봐. 산재 심 카이나 산재 꾸용 거래. 먼저 심 카이스 들 먼저 꾸도토가 말해.
Okay.
먼저 단다 심 남도 템들 산재 심 요새데 산재 꾸디 용토고요.
Okay, so
군이 오지로 심 참모다 롱 참모 오지로.
Right. So because the subtle nature of the mind and this wind are, one nature, right? For a Buddha,
어디야 산재차로하고 심 참모데 산재차로.
So the most subtle mind we say is the Buddha, right? Is the Buddha, and wherever the mind goes, the body goes as well. Like for us, wherever our mind goes, our body doesn't necessarily follow, right? Because we're dealing with this gross form, but the subtle mind and the subtle form of the Buddha go wherever one goes, the other goes, right? Like if the mind goes somewhere, then the body goes there as well. And because of this, then the Buddha's form has all these extraordinary
그래서 네 신나야 왜요? 그래서나 심 참모디 이 롱딜라 추싱아요로 근데 렘보 칼라치도 제당도 네 곰자니에서 미 총도 렘보 책 셔거도 심 참모디 왜디 잡이요 대용거 렘보 버디 데다
So it said the long or the simra the karokyo
가도 롱 심라 말다 롱딜라 가도 그냥 오지고라 딜라
So this subtle wind is said to have these 5 colors, right? Like this rainbow color. And this is why when people do this practice of this rainbow body, they emanate all these colors because this is this activity of the subtle wind, right? And that's why all these colors come out.
먼저게 셈 담물라 롱라 왜생아 요래 이는 먼저디 왜세드 마 팀데르다 다디 니마 가서디 rembo kalale chaba ta nima godo nima ngazo chidang ge rembo le nima godo nime we godo nime we mena kala yungu mendo chidang de ta be timbo tubo yuna rembo leg mendo chidang rembo de leg mendo tibo ji gyar chidang ngazo ge stem thamo lungde tada deja shidang kondo de yege matim de ro ko de word to set to go mare 먼저 나란절에 디게 파세나 먼저 왜디 연구하라 나란절에 왜 잡초고라
Okay, so the our subtle wind has these 5 colors, right? But the problem is it's obscured with all the delusions and the imprints and obscurations and so forth. So if you imagine it, like, in order to see a rainbow, then you need the sunlight to do that, right? You only see a rainbow when the sun comes out. When the sun is completely obscured by the clouds, there's no chance for the rainbow to appear, right? You need that sunlight. And it's the same with us. Even though we have this potential there, we have these 5 colors there in the subtle mind, it's completely obscured. So we need to clear away these obscurations and delusions and these... Oh, sorry, not the subtle mind. The
subtle wind.
The subtle wind. Yeah, sorry. I think I said it the first time. Maybe I got it wrong the second time. But that's the subtle wind. Once you clear away the obscurations, then you can start to perceive it. But while those obscurations are there, you can't.
제가 뒤인데 다 단단한서 이 중무스는 계절레고라. 그래서 영월라야데 아니 다 되래. 다 마마마 타도는 돼. 다들 타라요로 이 락바 단단한서 단대 디날 계절 네 계절세 영어데 락바시고 락바 당기해셔야 돼. 탐무래. 디야와 최고 양콘스 카셔 노르고도야.
Yeah, but to be clear, what we're talking about here with the direct, the yigi no sum semo, yigi no sum. So this is talking about much more gross level of mental direct perception. What I'm talking about with this rainbow and stuff is much more subtle.
어디지? 다 델라예와디 아니 투여레스 숙잼베 이중우좀 다잼바 티두마 로잼바 레자마 최잼바 시유 멘더 투여베 인자 티진이지 이중우좀 투예와 다가나와다고.
So then it divides it. There are then 6 direct mental prime cognizers, seeing form, smell, taste, touch, sound, and mind.
Phenomena.
Oh, okay, sorry, not just mind, it's phenomena. It includes impermanence and selflessness and so forth.
다디 이중어선 디와시 다디네 디 이중어선 지고디 남데나라 남데 루스베나라 베게버여레스라 참만 남데 루스베나라 베 개보 배제 남들 루스마 만자 이중우숨 계시셔 가서나 힌두도 이중우숨 똑바로라 가중우숨이 뭐 두고 봐 근데 계제인데 janjan시 배제고 남들 루스베나라 이중우숨 거디 배야고요 그래서
So if you want to know more about it, the 3rd chapter of Valid Cognition talks about it clearly, right? And the reason for this is because there was many Hindu traditions that had differing views on this direct mental perception. For that reason, it was really clarified in this 3rd chapter of Valid Cognition.
다드네 다시버디로 nen종우숨 아 nen종우숨라 양 계절로 띠스 마시는 용마라야.
So now the next one is the 4th one, the direct yogic cognizer, yogic direct prime cognizer, sorry. So yeah, if we don't explain this a little bit, it's not really going to be very clear.
다 당부 nen종우숨 토벌라 당부 신의 토벌로 와 신의 토바잔데 말을 항동 토벌 와 항동라에 가르스나 신의라데니 탑람 탑 심내에 탑구다 안에 지금 옹봉아 떠봉아 유튜브 세든데 망보여와다 딜레네 한다 심내에 탑구들에다 심내 구들 때네 니 신의 데사데다 베미고치 간라베데네 베 지 니마니마 롤로 베 로
Okay. So that's talking about the Shinaitan Laktang or Shinaichuku? Lasso. So this is, as it says here, So as it says here in the definition, union of karma binding and special insight. To explain that first, so first we'll look at the karma binding aspect of that, right? So what is this karma binding? The karma binding is this mind that can stay single pointed on an object. So first you do the meditation and you go through the 9 stages, right? And then there's various different objects you can use to develop this concentration. But after you go through these 9 stages, subsequent to that, you develop what's called karma binding. And at that point, when you have that, you can stay completely single pointed focused on an object for days and even years. You can keep the meditation for years. But this alone doesn't have the power to liberate from samsara. Okay. So, in order to get this liberation from samsara, you have to go beyond this self-grasping. And therefore, you have to realize selflessness. So this is why you need this special insight. Because that, through the special insight conjoined with the karma binding, you can realize things like selflessness and impermanence. Lak tong, and he's explaining the meaning of the word. Lak means, like special is a fine translation, but it means like additional seeing, literally translated. So what are the things you're seeing? Additionally, it's these things like impermanence and like almost like you could say supreme seeing. So what is these supreme aspects? This selflessness and this impermanence. So maybe you could even say, yeah, special is fine. These are the special things that you can perceive through this special insight.
항동 고스다 게다시 뭐라라 이제 당부 말다 당부하는 항동 검사로다.
These days everybody seems to want to skip the karma binding and go straight to the special insight, right?
그래 릭버스나자 가자 디 가래디 릭버스나자 디 항동 시고래 산스크리트 디 디르바스 산스크리트 게라데
concept, so like this vipassana, for example. Vipassana is the Sanskrit, literally means special insight. That's the Sanskrit, Laktong, the Tibetan special insight.
opposite. 오늘 신행을 건 항동 제도라. 딩상 항동을 거미시. 아들이 가져야래.
No, they're kind of doing things in the opposite order. Normally, first you develop karma binding, then you develop special insight. But now they want to do special insight first, and then
딩상 거기 깨닫지 못하고.
So yeah,
페머스라고. 제가 opposite 제가 페머스 잘. 그 로아 딩상 맨다로 제나. political 나 opposite 제나 깨닫지 못하고. the opposite 차인자 아니 깨닫지 못하고.
So yeah, maybe they're doing the opposite in order to become famous, just like politicians try to do the opposite thing in order to get renown or fame. So maybe that's why they're doing it.
I made a lot of people, they've been this Hangdongi coast among when
yeah.
Shinehama when you didn't know.
So met a lot of people who did this special insight course, but they didn't really do any karma binding training.
다 대체 제가 신내당 항동사다 다양디 송도 되봤다. 다 들어 송도 되봤다. 그래서나 답변아 코월레 저월라 코에자와다 단지 봉고레스 다들 다메도 제가 다 다메라 냠버 샤신뱅안에 아니 지다 장죽샘다 동반이다 근데 고민연도 다 동반이라스다 아니 장죽샘 율레제나 티보침베 솔람자 다 데네가라 단다 딜다 간산 다메를 자도와 다 다음에 락바 다음에 튼지스기 또 버려 남산 신내 톱다고 남산 다음에 무슨 또 두고 말다 튼지스기 또와 튼지스기 또다 제바세마 지그로 또 세마 안디 곰곰곰이 데라 미그베다 곰종지 다메르 미그베 곰종글로 토면데 졸람터로 졸람터 다 졸람지 내가슬로 아니 고 곰곰이 다나 미르바 가서 아니 디 나저 딥데브로도 파파파파파 세르도 아니 이기 돈이 남의 무슨데 통용데 안 통남 자르고라 다 내종 무슨 어디도 용거다
Okay.
통남지 내가로 용거다
So the 제가 세마 캡슐라디
똑버
톡버에 any the
졸람라
조람
졸람시 요
소람 조람 어더라.
졸람 무슨데 요 말
Lots of right. So how does this yogic direct prime cognizer come about? Well, from the Mahayana perspective, first you'd develop this karma abiding conjoined with this bodhicitta, and then you'd enter this path, the Mahayana path of accumulation. But at this point, it's not easy to get immediately a direct perception of emptiness. Direct perception of emptiness. So you go through an inferential valid cognizer at this point. You're using that. So at the points of, when you have this inferential valid cognizer, you're in the path of accumulation and preparation, this sort of area. And then once you meditate more and more and more, and you get a direct perception of emptiness, at that point, you enter the path of seeing, and then you have what's called a yogic direct prime cognizer.
다 된대기 디네갈라 미다고 탐무대 무슨도 두고요래 네 다음에 탐무대 무슨도 두고요래 제단다 다 진이들 되어서 잡이 이나로 아니 다다다시 그랬어.
So at this point, that's when you can see things like subtle impermanence and selflessness and so forth. So this is, if you read the definition, it matches up, it follows along with that.
다 디친이 갈라서 랑다 겐데 주에 실라송데 띵이지 제단 실라송데사데 미다고라 미그베 셈마잉베 토네 아니 미다고도 다음에 또야 될 샤고라 시랍디야게도야 샤고라 고 베나가란조 드준천한조 간된책으로 와디다오레 실라송데라 베나 간된책으로 간된시데 아니 고론제 잠도된 대간을 셈샤 될 셈마잉바체 간된 도야시도와 디다 실디 신내단 항동 다워로지당 신이 정하다 말아 실라 디 제곰단 조금 숭디르다라 냐면은 제곰 조금 숭디람나 되죠. 다디야여게도 어느 마음벌라 실라 숭디 용거로 세상아란서 디 딘데 여르다.
Okay, so
when
we kind of do our practices, and we have this point, where we start to meditate, and we have this kind of like a simile of this practice where you try and keep this concentration on tagmiro tongpunyi.
정말 그 말에 간dio 권한을 심내는 데라 간dio 권에 지심 대간을 심대 되는 디고라 단도 제공디 조금로 제공디 간dio 지도 잠도 되는 심지 되는 거라 될 다음에도 믿어 계제요 말다고 제공 숭리도 그래라네.
Right.
제조 숭리 조금다 제공 님도를
okay, so you have this kind of abiding on this understanding, right? So you develop this kind of clarity, and you try and abide, focus upon that. So this is like this mixture of this analytical meditation, and this placement meditation. And as you develop this more and more and more, right? And then it eventually becomes this calm abiding conjoined with this special insight. So you have this kind of like this analytical meditation, you have the placement meditation, you try and conjoin these two together in your like practice. Then as you develop that more and more, initially it's like a simile of these calm abiding special insight, but it's generally not the real thing. But as you develop it more and more and more, it can become like that.
저한테 랑다 겐데 주에다 실라순르기 띵인질라 댄스데다 신의 탑세베가네 신의 댕안에 네 미다과다 다음에 곰곰곰곰 텐데 띵인질라 댄스데 상당한도 졸람다 솔람지게 네 실라순르기 띵인질라 댄네 소래 안 타웨 미다과다 강코 가르도고 열라서나 또야 될라 타웨 미다과다 간산다메 타라 타모다라고 가루 무슨지 사드다 베스타 파괴 주지 네 신이 캠바스 파괴 파규지 박바선다 통람이네 박바차로 동영 무슨 어디 박바차로
So here it goes. It talks about independence upon a meditative stabilization that is the union of karma body and special insight and its uncommon empowering condition. And it's or as it's. So the Takyanti Karera, the yeah, sorry. So it says here, and its uncommon empowering condition, but this union of mentalized meditative stimulation and karma binding is the uncommon empowering condition. So I don't know if that's yeah. Anyway, that's karma binding special insight is this uncommon empowering condition, and based on that, it allows you to see the subtle impermanence. And of course, it's only Arya beings on the path of seeing and beyond that can see this see directly the subtle impermanence and selflessness and so forth. So this is why it says, and other knowing exalted knower in the continuum of superior. Superior here means Arya being.
다 당고드네 타외 미다고서 디데시로다 당고 유디를 그 간도야 유디. 다 미다고라도 가서나 요도야 들어. 미다고라 락외 미다고다 타외 미다고서 니샤고 레스트로 남보산제베 락외 미다고서 되고 먼저 이러 지 로잠네 게 먼저 통구도 하러 강바 로도 싱 대체 아니 도 통구도 하고 요도 이제 무슨 통구도 하고 도 상마
So then it talks about the object which either realizes subtle impermanence or the coarse and subtle selflessness of a person. So to talk firstly about this subtle impermanence. So when you have impermanence, you have gross and subtle impermanence. Now we can see, when we see an object like a house or a tree or something, we know that we can see the change in it. Right, but this is a very gross level of impermanence. Oh, sorry, we can't. Okay, to be specific, we can see when the house falls down or the tree falls down, right? Like when I say the change, it's not every single change, but if it breaks or some major change, we can see that.
다들 참모데 가르스나 다 계지기로 란드베 튜니오 미데버들다 차슈에 들어.
So then kechigma digyo.
계지 단단한 미데버들. 단단한다 요도고요. 통문당한서
Okay. But what the subtle level of impermanence is that everything is constantly changing, and we can't see that. We can't see the constant change in the objects.
다들 ngowe 타보다 튜지 찬에 대진이 찬나 참 ngowe 배낭아서 디나라마 당당아서 디 포바디 전부터 통고도 근데 마마마 타라제 타모도서니 요거도 된저도 통고 말아가다고 제당아서 나 강과 마시도도 통고도 제 타모도서 요거도 통고면도 와 다도 ngowe 찬에 네 미다고 타모 차도야지 그래.
So to give an example, when we look at the cup, we only see the very gross level of the form, right? We can't see down to the more subtle parts of it. If we could, on a more subtle level, it's constantly shifting and moving and changing. Yeah. Right. Okay. So we can see, like if a house falls down or if a cup breaks, but on the subtle particles, we can't see those. On the subtle level, we can't see the changes in that. We can only see the gross change of it, like a breaking or something like that.
I thought most people, some people knew this story. Some people, this, but very good. One thing we talking this laws impermanent, and one day Western monk, etc. And he attended his teacher, and he teaching impermanent. These cups broken, this impermanent, like that. And one day he watched this cup. Teacher has famous cup, very good one, and he broke this, and he said, "Oh, Genla, your cup is impermanent." He said, "It is Tuadara. Is it in your cup is?" Okay. Permanent. He said, yes. Okay, now your cup is permanent. Gone. Po chazara, tam po chaz malagun la. Kiran po 미다고 레베스 디오티라 아 그게 어레레 미다고 레 거네 다 저런 포 미다고 차송
So yeah, like when after he'd broken the cup, he didn't go and tell the teacher he'd broken the cup. First he asked the question, like Genla, that means teacher, right? It makes more sense. So he went, teacher, is your cup impermanent? And the teacher goes, yes. And he goes, well, it's really impermanent now because it's broken.
One thing, my teacher has very, very order to cup. This one cup wet, and you put inside just like that. You put alcohol inside dragon moving. Just empty, You put alcohol and dragon moving. Dragon. Picture dragon moving. If you put alcohol and dragon moving. And no alcohol like that. He has two. And here, Chandrakirti come to he are using only Chandrakirti and use one for him. And I watched, I leave there, suppressed to other all cleaning, and finally I washed this too, I leave there too, and there did you wash, and one spoon, jump it, spoon jump it, I wash spoon jump it in the cup, is it cup working? Sometimes spoon jumping, you're washing like that. Oh, what I know, And then I take only one, only one I give him. And I thought, a little bit, and I'm sorry. And I talk his story like that. He's laughing. Oh, this is very good. It doesn't matter. He know hoarding. He never become showing upset body, never showing. I didn't want to. I didn't say this impermanent. Nothing said to it. I talk. I did just talk, explain. You cover it like that. This story is one jump like that. And he is laughing. Maybe he said, "You are a magician. Magician. You comes there. You soon jump. You're a magician. He making more joke. He said, "Don't worry." Yeah. 다리 미다고 치. 미다고 두고 전에로. 다 저던데 뒤중앙도 셔도 먼저 두고 전에 셔거를.
So this impermanence is based on time, right? So it's all about time.
two 계지 답디 남베게 two 타셔야 돼. 디셔거라. 데다 modern sounds 제게나 데데스 락바다로. 이나 데다 디 똥나 미다고 타모토레스. 딜레 타도베 타모 요 말에 라고 말이다. 둑슬라라 데 차투주 잡실 쉐와 차직 투주 잡실 데 투주 잡실 쉐와 차직데 아니 디미다고 타모고 되는데다 직베 되는 딜샤샤나 디그라.
So when we talk about this time, at the moment what we're perceiving is our perception of time is a very gross level. And even the scientists now, they still mostly perceive things on a gross level of time. So what we talk about when we talk about a moment, a subtle moment, and it's not saying this is the most smallest measure of time, right? It's not you can go more subtle, but when they talk about a moment, it's 1/64th of a finger snap. So if you like that, if you divide that period of time by 64, that's the amount of time a moment is. Like when they talk about first moment, second moment, that's.
배낭으로 내려와. 당보 로디 투즈지로 로. 디네 다워와. 디네 둔다로와. 디네 니마로와. 디네 추즈로와. 디네 미니로와. 디네 마마 두 쉐베 두 데 두기 차데 딘데라고.
Right. So like we used to dividing time, like we got a year, then we got a month, then we got a week, then we got a day, then we got hours, then minutes, then seconds, and that's pretty much as far as we go. But you can keep going down, right? Like milliseconds, and they probably have the various measurements, but I don't know them. But you can keep dividing down until you get to.
Yeah.
I'm just asking a question about time. So this finger snap, presumably it would be the sound of the finger snap, or like that from the time the snap sort of sound started to the time the sound finished?
Well,
like that's the time of the finger snap that it's divided.
Well, the sound doesn't finish.
And so that's the point. So that's my question. So there we are. That's my question, because wouldn't time be rather subjective? Because some people the finger snap would last longer for some people than others.
And that's further away and all sorts of okay.
So time would be subjective.
Okay.
Okay.
So is the sound of the finger snap 1/64th of that? Is that a moment? Because surely the sound is subjective and be longer and shorter for some people and so forth. So the finger snap did it, right? Kande dutsa kandira di kegi dutsa re o kande hobu du kansina ke, you know, dini mikashi di desringwa tongwa ani mi padros
di tobache di da mi shomba ji ro bin nga ro ji gidre mi sangwa ma le nga zu da re.
Okay, so for like an ordinary I don't know, like a person like myself, then it's 1/64.
Ordinary love you marda.
Not ordinary, no, ordinary is not
right. Lo chungju ma ba lo gengo ma ba de la go.
I see, lo shino ro gonda.
Shunu tharma.
Yeah, like a middle-aged person.
Yeah, yes, yeah, it is.
Like me.
Yeah, middle-aged snake there.
Yeah, like not too young and not too old, and like okay, it's a middle-aged finger, 1/64th of a middle-aged finger snap.
It's more to do with the hearing.
That did it. Did daji doa, dadi.
Yeah.
I'm just koda daji. Dadi gozu bane da Quran la geji niwa je orwa. O did it. Dadi gozu bane shugu mazo baru bala tumbu tuju zapshi le tango orda.
Okay, so like the finger snap itself has various moments, and 64 of those moments would be, that's what you divide, right? Like, yeah.
What I'm trying to say is it's not subjective, but it's important. Is that each of those
I don't know how important it is.
would be different.
Yeah, so me re di.
Today yore. Jesa mi dharma gero.
Right.
Mi dharma ge dere is. Mi dharma kandeshi na digor. Digi ne di tukju zefi.
So yeah, it's like
mi dharma layer dagnare.
A middle-aged kind of person with average hearings type thing, right? Like for that kind of person, it's 1/64th of that. You know, like yeah. I mean, that's where Tama is.
There are modern scientists did wa bena misal tangdo. Misal dina la ta di thanga million yorda dina million yorda konzo di da di pesen
Kakechi million.
Million yorda la.
So when
Dylan hago pena di tanda dina la wa di misal di chik tosha di thanga million yorda na la ta. Di thanga kya thogo jesa tinde ge di modern scientist much dina la thanga million kya thogo ta. Modern scientist.
I see. Okay.
Wow, medan misal tangdo wa. Misal tangboda diparula karja di khajoe di thanga ja thugo da khana kan.
Right. So actually these days modern science can measure even further, right? Like in a short period of time, they can break it down into like millions of parts, right? That the ability when they fire up a missile, right, which obviously moves very quick, or a bullet or something like that, they can actually break down very slowly, right?
Today yagoda. Today today tungna yago modern scientist. Unzo mi ge tonggo da wa. Dina khaje yewa chedo go da wa.
So yeah, they can really break down that amount of time into million parts, right? The measurement is very amazing.
Then you know the midabo thamoda the measurement machine mevishi sim ge yewa chedo go da. Sim ge yewa chen dinde ge thamodi gyodi to thugo yo sim. Midabo thamung sum do yo.
Okay, when they can break down and measure the mind in this way, then they'll really start to understand subtle impermanence.
Oh, dear. That this yago midabo that jina dundajima course legradi. Midabo di that jo to do na aranzo that so di lamni pendo khare wa. So ta aranzo mi mangboji debe neju nala tik aranzo neju yago yongore doja yongore ane sim nala ma sinje degdo. 당원에 신의 대여 말합니다. 독 직도다 그러와.
Hmm.
더 단다 가서 매지 싸워라고 원에 신은. 나랑도 네 배주 야구 제시하고 있는 야구여러.
Okay. So it's actually like we'll talk about this more if you come to this course on impermanence in time this weekend. But basically, it's useful in your daily life in the sense that we're always talking about keeping our mind in the present and being aware of the present and things like that. And if you start to realize, like, we think things are like is to abide, like they're abiding, but you could say maybe they're stable or they're static. But in reality, they're constantly disintegrating, right? Every moment, everything's disintegrating, right? And so when you actually understand this, then it gives you a completely different perspective on things.
아니 대 호딩 해야도다. 수수 생긴 대로.
Right. And then you let go, right? You don't hold on to things strongly.
네 미망고 뒤편에 내가 가고요라. 수수가 저 남에게 심나게 지금 내주디 마심나냐 이제 대디다. 곰시 차니 가고 싶어라. 미다고 삼다나 매우서도 그러다.
So, a lot of people hold on to things for a long time, right? Really hold on to things strongly. But if you really understand impermanence, then it can stop you from doing this.
아니 된다 그러나서 봐도 미단 relationship 제도들에 또 뒤뒤뒤 날라다가서 참부제 대도나 야구로 멍바 가고 하고 말아 단단가서 뒤뒤뒤 상마이었대 참부제 기부 대도나 캡산에 멍바 그래야 하고 말아 뒤뒤 하고다 야구다.
And also in relationships and things like that, if you really understand it, you can keep them harmonious and pleasant in the present. Because you never know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So if you can keep awareness in the present and keep things harmonious in the present.
I never thought I would live in when I was young. I never thought I'd go to India. Then in 1989 I went to India. I never thought I'd come to New Zealand. And I never thought maybe in future we don't know. Isn't it? Maybe you're exactly same like that experience, isn't it? You never thought something. I think you never thought you would come here just listening, little bit of funny manga talking, blah blah blah. You never thought like that. Oh, future we don't know. The two
So we've got a couple of questions. Are ordinary beings able to recognize the first moment of a direct valid cognition? So Kibu, the Sema Nosung Tambo Hakogiduge?
무슨 tema? 왕부 무슨 tema?
No. Nosung Sema Kariyan Kechik Tambo Hakogidu, Shingidu. Or did Tai Chung Chung, no?
내가 말해, 내 신도 신적으로 무슨 뜻이야 말아, 신그래. 신적으로. 다들 럽종 전에 신그래. 럽종 맞는 신 말해.
Alright. So yes, you can be aware of it. You can't directly be aware of it. But, if you study, you can be aware of it. Right? Like if you learn about it, you can know that it's there. But you can't perceive it directly. Or when you say ordinary being, I'm assuming you're meaning people without karma binding and this sort of thing. That's good. Okay. So an ordinary middle-aged person.
This is more retired people more know this, because they have lots of experience,
Okay. So the second question is, we talked about last week about the self-know being self-supporting, substantially existent. Why just go over that again? I won't read out the answers. We'll just go over it again. So the rangrik de, rangrik job is there. So the gunsen yangya sapo.
Rangrik de rangje de zay begin de kasna. Rangrik de lola chayon de chushin lu chawla tog mare. Tarare da chushin lu chawla tog mare. Bena poverty 와 bena poverty rangje de zay mare tayures. Kimje kasna. 포버디 심나샤 포베 롱다 디게 차고다 디 포베 롱다 도저 포 마르와 추신라 뜨고다 고 심나 샤발라 심나 로이
Okay.
고 심나라 지 imagination 용걸 딜라 뜨고다 심포 롱다 도저 뜨고다 라리 디 롤 샤월 딘데 뜨고 마레 코란 땅 차거든 랑게토에 대해서 되래 코
So
최신lui 랑리 루이를 차
semla shemba
그래 샤도 말해 랑리 코란 로래야 심 세릭 차들 루이드 샤요인데 가도다 숙다 근데 나와샤고 최신을 또 매베 인자 아니 랑게토에 대요라고
Okay. So it's said to be self-supporting, substantially existent as self-knower, because it does not require other phenomena, right? So, for example, a cup is requires other phenomena like the various things that make up its parts, like the handle and the base so it requires all these things to be established as a cup. So it's not self-supporting substantiality because it's required on other phenomena, whereas a self-knower is said to not require other phenomena in order to exist, basically. So the Chirag Mawagi Tawaro. But again, this is only for the schools. Most of them believe this, but it's only for the schools that believe in a self-knower. Yeah. So
surely a self-knower would need a mind to know.
So the Rangrik the Sem Latini Gogigre, right?
Rangrik to wala injimiji terwa Sem lo derwa koras. Rangrik korang ngodi Sem shewarwa ina Rangrik korang Rangrik dil Sem la ya shayo ndu seri ki chashini dagarang remisho dile Semba la tyogo maro.
Okay, so yeah, although it may be realizing another mind, the self-knower, it's other than the clearer knowing aspect, it doesn't require anything other than that. Most minds are said to be self-supporting. We don't want to go into too much because it'll be very confusing. So this mental consciousness is self-supporting, substantially existent.
저한테 돈다디 되지 각보를 지요래. 단데 단다 락바도 졸라 삼나 야고래. 데 대에 말에 따요래서 봐. 포바디. 아니 포바디 심나 샤운데 포베 롱단도 저 포베 롱데 포 말아봐. 제가 콜 뜨고다 포바디. 포베기 카드즈 포 말아봐. 포베 루이 샤울 들 뜨고다.
Right. So to say that like the cup requires other aspects, like its various parts, its different substances, like the lid of the cup is not the cup and the base of the cup. In order to appear to the mind, it requires all these different parts. Like the elements and so forth. To appear to the mind, yeah. So we'll stop here.
Next your discussion. Discussion mangbudo wada de rwa shila sungdi khande yime rwa ani shila sungdi di yijungusum khande chaga yime thangbo yijungusum sa de khande yime des dadana tidan yagoda antene
first what's a direct mental perceiver
antene shila sungdi shine dal hangdong khare sungdi didan khare midagwa thamu midagwa rawa khare odire.
So then you have this meditative stabilization is the union of calm abiding and special insight. So what is this calm abiding? What is special insight? What is this meditative stabilization? That's the union of both of these. What is the subtle impermanence? Any dangzagi takme? Right, and then just basically read through the definition and understand go over the various parts of that.
곰데 되잖아 야고요라 미다고 때문에 곰잖아 야고요 다르바 미다고 당보 미다고 라고 곰자라 미다고 라고 곰자 아니 드네 참올라마 삼당기 당기 지기는데 문에 펜토고요다.
So and then you can meditate on this gross first the impermanence, right? But first start with the gross impermanence and then break it down and get into the more subtle impermanence. So that's the meditation you can do. So we'll stop here.
Nam Da Shin La Che Para Sho
Jetsun La Me
Gu De Ra Din
Chin
Shi
Nam
Nam
Ka
Ka
Trin
Trin
Le
Le
Cho
Cho Chu
Chu
Ge
Ge
Ba
Pa Da
Tam
Lo
Lo
Sang
Sang
Tian
Tin
Pe
Pe
Cho
Du
Me
Me
Sa
Sa
Sun Gi Cho Wei Men
Me
Sa
Se
Ta
Da Do
Tse
Ne
Ne
Gyu
Gyu
Chi
Chi Idam
Guru
Guru
Ra
Ratna
Ne
Mandala
Mandela Kam Nirya
Kamirayatayani.
Chayami
Due to the merit of these virtuous
Judin
actions,
Joram
may I
Bashi
quickly
Maji
attain
Bana
the
Ji
state of
Shi
a
Jivan
Guru
Jimana
Buddha
Vayan
and
Guru
lead all
Jimana
living
Jivana
beings without
Sho
exception
Shandeva
into
Dan
that
Shi Shiva
enlightened state. May the
Judin
supreme
Wi
jewel
Do Yin
bodhicitta
Yawa
that
Jidin
has
Na
not
Yin Jidin
arisen
Wa Dan
arise
Ji
and
Do
grow,
Wi Shi Ju Ji
and may
Do
that which has
Gu Ba Ra Ra
arisen
Ra
not
Ba Vi Shi Na
diminish, but
Di Ka Na
increase
Di Wa Ma
more
Na
and
Ji
more. Whatever slight
Jiri Zi
positive
Wan Di Ji Ji
potential
Ba
I
Yin
may
Yin
have
Shi Ga Ji Di
created
Ba Ra
by
Di
paying
Ju
homage,
Ji Ju Ji
offering, and
Wa Dong Ba
acknowledging
Ba Ji
my
Di Na Ba
faults,
Bi Wa Dang Ji Bi Ji
rejoicing
Ma
and
Shi Wa Dang
requesting
Ti
that
Ji
the
Ma Ni
Buddhas
Sa Ma
say
Shi
and teach, I now
Ta Da Ji Ji
dedicate
Ji
all
Wa Dang
this
Di
for
Bi
full
Ba Ji Ba
awakening.
Ni Jo Wa
I
Ma Do Wa
dedicate
Ni
all
Ja Ba
these
Ji Di
roots
Ba
of
Ji Ba
virtue with the
Ji
dedication praised as the best, by the victorious ones thus gone of the three times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds.
Sunan de
May
kan
the
je
king
wa
of
ye ko
Dharma
ma shi ki
Songkhapa's
da de
way of
ne ka
Dharma
da ma shi
practice
ne
flourish. May the omens of
si de zhe le
obstacles
no
be
no yo
pacified,
chen de wa
and
da
all the
ji sha wa
conducive
da ji de ran gu
circumstances
ji
be
sha wa yi ji
complete.
wa ji de da
The
ji de
wish
wa da ji
granting,
de
wish
wa shi ji
fulfilling
bo
jewel, source of every
a
single
da ji ji de
benefit and
zon da de we
happiness
sun
in
ye
this
la de
world.
we ja wa sha
To
ja
the
de wa ye de ma
incomparably
yin ba
kind
ji ji
Tenzin
da da
Gyatso,
ji ge
I
de zon da de
beseech.
we sun ye la
May
de
all
we ja
your
wa da
holy
san sa wa
wishes be
ye ba
spontaneously
ye ren ba
fulfilled.
ju ji
Savior of the
ri pa
snowland
re we ko
teachings
we
and
xin ga de pe na de wa
transmigratory
ma ne
beings,
ju we de ji
who
de
makes
da wa ji de ge
extremely
de
clear the path that
she
is
we de de ba de
unification
din
of
ji
emptiness and compassion.
ji ju de
To
de
the
ji de
lotus
wa de
holder
shi de ja
Tenzin
wa de
Gyatso, I beseech.
cho kun
May
de
all
da
your
yin
holy
ji
wishes
ju
be
ji
spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, we mercifully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels. Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. By relying on the two accumulations of myself and others in the three times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losang Dragpa blaze for a long time.